Alrighty, you listen to KQCK radio station. This is Joe here in studio, and I hope you're having a great day today. It's about 12 o'clock and about 89.4 degrees here at our studio in Santan Valley. We've got a great show ahead of us here. Some information from our fantastic three superintendents here of our local school districts. We have Dr. Gary Nine, Dr. Cecilia Johnson, and Dr. Gail Blanchard, and this would be Florence Unified School District, Coolidge Unified School District, and Combs. Is it Unified School District?
It is.
Look at that.
There we go.
Perfect.
We're all unified.
Welcome, everybody,
Thank
from
you.
the Unified
Thank you.
School Districts. What are we going to be talking about today?
We like how you started with fantastic. That's the good.
Exactly.
First time I've heard that in a while.
Got to butter you guys up.
I think we're probably going to be talking about overrides.
The tax override for the schools and what people can do to help us out with our, getting our kids all set up for what they need to do for their careers, right, in school.
Absolutely. It's been a real struggle for school districts over the last, probably 3-4 years with the funding from the state. I know specifically for our district, we've reduced our funding, or the state has reduced our funding by about $3.2 million. So now we need to reach out to our local control and our community to help and support us so that we can continue to provide quality education in a safe environment.
Following up on that for Florence, we've lost just over $8 million over the last 4 years. People are, quite honestly, I think people are just misinformed. Yesterday, I was forwarded an email from someone that's running for election, and he says that you guys get $9,200 per kid, and that comes from the state, and that just isn't true. Not even close. We received $5,500 per student from the state last year, and there are all these misconceptions about how much funding is coming to education. The fact of the matter is the state has neglected to fund what their responsibilities are. Commercial property is assessed at lower valuations than they ever have from the state. That puts more pressure on the homeowners. The homeowners' tax bills go up, and they say, hey, so our last resort is the community. The state's not doing their part, and it falls back to the community to do their part if we're going to be able to provide a basic education to our kids.
What does it take? A lot of people, I've mentioned it to them, they've never even heard of the tax override. Can one of you tell us what exactly that is, or all of you?
Well, the tax override, it's a little bit of a unique school funding process in Arizona. Not every state has this kind of funding for schools. The school funding formula is very complex, very hard to understand, and very hard to explain. But one of the pieces that the state law allows.
We have lost. What do we need for our country to do well together? How can we be together? And if we can't vote for kids, heaven forbid what our future is going to be like. For years I've heard uninformed, I think people make up facts as they go, politicians, and they go, administration makes too much money. All the money goes to administration.
Yep.
Yesterday I saw somebody write, all the money goes to the educrats. The superintendents make too much money. Here's a stat for you. This is from the same study, I believe, that Cecilia was talking about early. Arizona has the lowest per pupil spending on administration in the United States.
Yep.
The lowest in the United States. But if you listen to our local politicians and our state politicians, they say all the money goes to administration. Well, that's total bull. Total. So, we big picture of life. if we want to do what's best for our community, if we want to keep our property values up, if we want to educate our kids so that they have the ability to have a great future, all the kids, then we have to invest a little bit. And $2 a month, if you can't invest $2 a month, then, hey, sorry. You know, this is sad right now.
You know, Gary, right on that administrative, we have cut, in Coolidge, we have cut 20% the last 3 years in administration. We are very bare bones in administration. And by the way, that puts unemployed people out in the world without positions. But I want to share one other interesting comment. You know, sometimes you might, there's a lot of publicity every year about the classroom dollars and that schools are not putting enough money in the classroom dollars. Many of us are around 53% of our budget in the classroom. And so people say, well, you know, you're not using, you know, you're wasting 47%. Well, let me talk a little bit about what that 47% pays for, because we're not allowed to count anything but teachers in the classroom, and we know there's a lot of support staff that help make that happen. Bus drivers, they don't count for instruction. They don't count in our classroom dollars. But I don't know how my students are going to get to school if I don't have bus drivers. How about my food service workers? We're required to serve not just one meal a day, but 2 meals a day, breakfast and lunch now. And so if I don't have food service workers, how are my students going to be prepared to learn? Because we need to feed them. I have custodians and maintenance folks, just what Gary was talking about with, you know, we can cut all those people and put more dollars in the classroom, and then our places are dirty and trashy and under disrepair. So we have to keep that up. We got to have grounds, and we got to have maintenance people. If we have some trash, we get phone calls. If we have branches that are broken on trees, we get phone calls. All those things have to be taken care of. So when you look at classroom dollars, yes, we all strive really hard to get that in classroom, but there's a lot of other extra costs to running a school district. We also, many of us try to put instructional aides or paraprofessionals in the classroom to help with tutoring or assist the teacher. None of those people count as classroom dollars, and they are actually in the classroom. Anytime we hire a reading specialist or a math interventionist that's going to help our math and reading scores, they're not in a classroom. That does not count on our classroom dollars, yet they're working with students. So I wanted to bring up that point, because we get kind of beat up about the percentage that we have in the classroom.
We've got a few questions out there from folks that are concerned. One goes back to saying, well, you're talking about technology. This person out there says they believe that the old school methods, you know, what happens when kids have to use a calculator and they can't use their brain. You know, I've heard that story a lot. But what happens when their laptop breaks that has their whole, you know, semester of work in it, and their laptop breaks and we don't have the money in the budget to take care of that?
Well, we haven't reached that point yet. Where we're going as a district, okay, right now if the laptop breaks, the way our laptops are pretty doggone inexpensive, and we carry insurance on them, so if they were to lose their hard drive, we basically can replace that computer, and it doesn't cost the kid anything. Now the kids do pay a fee every year for that insurance, so that's how that happens. So, but we're getting ready right now to put wireless in all of our schools, and in the next 2 years, we're going to move to bring your own technology, because even with a capital override, when you start going, you know, we're able to provide our high school kids with netbooks, but when you consider that going on and on and on, there's a cost there that can't be paid. So we're going to move to bring your own technology over the next couple of years. Before we go any more into technology, I want to go back to something that Cecilia was just saying. Some of the greatest non-classroom money ever spent on school nurses. We provide primary care for way too many of our families.
Yep.
And we must have school nurses, and that money does not count on classroom dollars.
Correct.
As well.
Exactly.
didn't mean to jump off target there, but that was a biggie.
Yeah, yeah. School counselors, some of those support that our students need.
Back to the tech. I've had some parents say that our kids don't need this technology. I own a restaurant, or my family owns a restaurant, and for 7 years our servers have had handheld computers to take orders. I'm looking at what you've got going on here, Joe. You're very technologically literate. I go get my car worked on. There's all computers.
Right.
I don't. Pretty much every walk of life, kids have to be critical thinkers and technologically literate. So if we just say our kids don't need this, just like I was just telling you about the young lady that goes to college and she's struggling, even though she's really bright, because she doesn't have the basic skills that colleges expect now with regard to technology. Well, she's got to learn them quick, and that's difficult for her. So, technology is everywhere.
Another question out there, and we're not, those of you out there asking questions, we're not really isolating any school districts out here with specific type of negativity, because that's not what we're here doing today, or ever really. But will this tax override money help with a couple of things? And we're hearing that there's a few problems around, like one, for example, a couple of specific schools, issues with their lunches. Children, there's so many people that go to lunch. Kids have 5 minutes to eat because they're in line for 50 minutes or whatever. I'm not sure exactly what the length of the lunch is, and they don't have time to eat. Some kids don't get in line to eat. Others are saying that there's some schools out there that have mosquitoes. Which, I mean, holy cow, I've got a ton of mosquitoes out here myself. But, this is Santan Valley, and we got to, that's going to happen. Anyway, bug problems, pest control, things like that. Are these issues going to be, and these are questions from people out there, so that's why I think it's
important to remind the voters out there that we're tied to the ballot language, as we should be. So when we put this out there, it's very specific. It's that accountability piece on how we're going to use those dollars. And so for every school district, it might be a little bit different. For the Combs School District, our dollars are specifically for to reinstate competitive sports at the middle school, to reinstate our music program and our primary grades, to make sure that we can maintain those elective classes specifically at our high school so that our students are ready for college or future careers. We certainly want to be able to reduce our class sizes and maintain competitive salaries. And so if voters look in their informational pamphlet, they will see the very specifics of what those dollars are connected to.
I think we also have specific items that we're going to be focusing on. One of ours is, though, the promote a safe and healthy school environment. And should a school have any of those issues that you shared, Joe, absolutely contact the principal. We have pest control we hire. We actually time our students to see how long they are in the lunch. We make sure our students are eating, and if there is a problem, we attempt to correct that as quickly as possible. I actually have been on every single one of our campuses during the lunch, so I can see for myself what's going on with eating. And I want to tell you also that new federal guidelines have required us to provide fruit and vegetables, so we all have salad bars at all of our schools now. And I've actually watched the students checking out, and if they didn't have the right amount of food on their plate, like they skipped picking up their fruit or getting their vegetable, they're sent back to get their fruit and their vegetable on their tray as they check out. So we're very cognizant in Coolidge about our students eating. We can't, of course, force them to eat, but I was just on the Coolidge High School campus yesterday at lunch and looked at their students and what they were eating. And they got to eat quick, but all of our schools have adequate time, and everybody has at least, at our schools, 20 minutes to eat their lunch after they've gotten it.
Our situation in Florence, our ballot language is reinstatement of full-day K, attract and retain quality teachers, which means that we'll be able to use that money to increase. Our teachers have been frozen for 4 years, and so we're going to supplement that. Reduce pay to participate. Our pay to participate fees now are $50 a sport for K-8 and $100 for high school. Those will be cut in half. If it doesn't pass, it's going to go to $125 a sport in K-8s and $250 in high school. And then the other thing was to increase high school security. Everybody wants safe, and we've all lost, at least speaking, we lost virtually every school resource officer because of the cut downs in the state. And so we have to fund our security ourselves, and we need to have appropriate security at the high schools. Also, a loss of the override would mean that we'll be cutting electives and increasing class sizes. For some kids, it's music. For other kids, it's art. My granddaughter goes to school here. My daughter drives 40 miles to come to school here because Apache Junction lost all their override funds, and they don't have a comprehensive program. We have a comprehensive program, and that means comprehensive means that kids get to sample lots of stuff, including art and music and PE and those kind of things. And so without the override, we lose a lot of that.
I think sometimes community members think that we receive extra funding for athletics or for music and drama, fine arts, and that's truly not the case. And so Gary talked about that comprehensive program. With these dollars, that's what we're able to implement.
I know that, Gail, we played you in football a couple of times this season, and I was talking to your athletic director at Combs High School, and we were talking about the number of buses that we took for our football team, and he said, I can barely get one bus and a van to take our football team because we're only paying for that with gate fees, which means the money they collect from people paying to go to the games pays for the transportation for the teams to the away games. So it's really an eye-opener that money, athletics usually has to be self-supporting, and it's hard in these times for it to be self-supporting. We looked at what our costs were this year on athletics was $500,000 for athletics and almost $100,000 for extracurricular for what the district is trying to help in those areas, and we're just not going to be able to maintain those extracurricular and those athletic opportunities for our students. And I so agree with what Gary said about sometimes that's the reason kids come to school. In a prior life, I was an art teacher, so it pains me desperately to have to cut the arts because I know the students I taught in art for many, many years, and many of them shared the only reason they came was to be able to come to that class and express themselves in a creative way that they could not express themselves in some of their other core classes. So we need the comprehensive program.
We have an amazing music program, and I guess I would remind our community that we just opened our high school just a few years ago, and so trying to build those programs is a struggle in and of itself, and then with the financial constraints makes it even more challenging. But we have an amazing music program. Our marching band just received first place at an invitational couple weekends ago, on their way to qualifying for state. And when you watch those students perform and the excitement that they have and the accomplishments, it's hard to think that because of funding that may have to go away.
I'd like to I often invite parents to come to our schools and critics to come to our schools. People read the newspaper, people that still read the newspaper, or that listen to TV, they have this picture of what schools are like in their mind, and they're not like that at all. I had a lunch with a fella who was just killing me about how bad our schools were. And I said, will you walk? Will you just take an hour and walk with me? And he took me up on it. And so we went and walked to school. We walked in the back door of a school. There's a boy that I knew. I didn't know him by name. And he said, "Hey, Dr. Nine, how you doing?" I said, "Great, how are you doing?" And he turned to the gentleman and said, "Hello, sir, how are you?" Then we walked through, over the course of the next hour, we walked in and out of classrooms. We were there on a break. Kids are walking, just doing the kid thing. And so then as the bell was ringing, we walked outside. And we have a warning bell like everybody does. And by the time the warning bell rang, giving the kids another minute, and we walked outside, and there was 20 seconds left. There's not a kid inside. And the guy says, only a fool doesn't admit when he's wrong. Now, we have 3% of our kids that just refuse to be taught. Even, I'm not the most biblical guy in the world, but even God said, wipe the dust from my feet. But for the most part, 97% of our kids are we're better off. I was teaching in the mid-'70s. We're better off now than we were in the mid-'70s, but people don't understand that. They think the schools are, that they're not safe, that there's not stuff going on. This guy walked through and we were great teaching going on. There's great stuff going on in our schools, but people don't have the picture of our schools that way today. And so, our older people to say, as Cecilia said, hey, I've done my time. I've raised my kids. Well, you know what? Social Security, I contribute to Social Security. All of our employees contribute to Social Security. I don't know one person getting Social Security that doesn't think that they earned it. That we're in this, Social Security, the whole thing, that we're in this together. Well, we're in this together too. Our state doesn't realize that we're in this together. We're 47th, 48th, 49th, 50th. And quite honestly, they don't seem to care. Well, I care, and I think our communities really do care. But we have to accept that we're in this together. And if we continue not to be in this together, we're going to no good place. Our kids deserve this.
I want to bring up another point. This is a great opportunity to share these myths that we continue to hear. One is that, there's dropouts, particularly in Santan Valley. We see all these kids running around, and there's dropouts, and, our dropout rates are really high, and what do we do to get those kids in school, and the schools aren't doing their job because of all these kids are dropouts. Well, let me share a couple of statistics about dropouts. Because I thought, wow, did we really have a big dropout rate when I came 4 years ago? And so I was looking, and when I got to Coolidge, our dropout rate was 9%. Now, since I've been in Coolidge and Santan Valley, we have both areas we serve with the Coolidge Unified School District, our dropout rate is 3%. And I'm going to guess my colleagues are very similar to that dropout rate. So when people say, oh, we have so many kids dropping out, and this isn't data we can make up, this isn't data that, we can spin. This is right off the Arizona Department of Education website. You can go and look up our data. That's our Chamber of Commerce asked me about the dropout rate. They were concerned about it and the dropouts, and I told them where to go on the AD website. They went on it, and the executive director emailed back and emailed to all the chamber members, hey, they're correct. They're at a 3% dropout rate. So one of the programs that we have implemented, I know Gary's got a program, we do too. Your high school's fairly new right now. We have sometimes it's called an alternative high school. We call it our non-traditional program. These are students that are not functioning very well in a regular comprehensive high school. They're struggling. Some of them are parents. They're young teens with children. Sometimes they're working. Sometimes they're supporting a whole family or siblings that they're raising. A whole lot of reasons why they can't function in a traditional setting. We all are providing services for those students. In ours, it's a non-traditional program right now, and we have 2 sessions. We have a morning session and afternoon, evening session. We are serving 40 students, 20 in each of those sessions. We'd like to expand it because we have waiting lists of students to take that. But when you talk about dropouts, some of those kids would be classified as dropouts if we were not able to provide those programs for those students and educate them and put them back in and put them in the workforce for our businesses and our communities. So without money like the override, and we have to continue to cut, those are programs that get cut because those aren't required. We could go ahead and contribute to the dropout and increase our dropout rate. We don't want to do that. We want to educate all of our students and have them all be productive, contributing citizens. So we want to expand our non-traditional program and meet more the needs of those students. And so I want to highlight that particular item. And sometimes people say, well, we see kids out running around. Well, we do have every other Wednesday half-day professional day, and so our kids get out at noon. So maybe they might check the time. If that's a particular Wednesday, they might be out at Walmart or McDonald's or, taking the afternoon off because they're not in school. So they want to check what time. And our schools get out about 2:30. So if they're out after 2:30 to 4:30, and people are saying, "Oh, they're not in school." Well, they're probably out and about because school has ended. But many of our students work, and some of our students take additional courses at community college, such as CAC. So I wanted to get that point out about the dropouts. And if you see kids running around, they're not in school, give us a call, and we'll try and get them in our programs.
So the program you're talking about that you serve for students that may be more challenged going to a regular public school, because I know that I've had Dr. Chris Lineberry in a few times with the Florence Virtual Academy. Is this an online school that you're talking about that you offer at Coolidge?
Yes, it's very similar to what Dr. Nine has with their Virtual Academy. Ours is a program at our high schools. It rather than it being all online, we have instructional aides that work with the students, and they do actual in-class work as well as using online. We do a combination we find that works better for our students to be a little more successful than all online. I don't know all the details about Florence's program, but they're all pretty parallel. It's providing our students education so they can actually graduate and get their diplomas and move on.
Because I know as a parent out here, I see a lot of new people coming in saying, "Oh, wow, there's all these wonderful charter schools because my child has these exceptional or whatever the reason is that they don't fit into the public school system." I think it's a good forum here to let people know that they can go to a public school and get an alternative program. And of course, Dr. Nine, I want you to mention the academy, but Dr. Blanchard, Combs, does Combs have a program like that as well?
We do not have an alternative high school program right now. We just started our high school, just had our first graduating class last May. We just recently were awarded the 21st Century Community Grant, which will allow us to provide, maybe in a different way than what Florence and Coolidge has happening with their alternative program, but some before school, after school tutoring. We'll be able to provide some transportation. We'll be able to hold some parent classes and parent information and even some enrichment classes. So really kind of extending our school day at the high school level. So that's kind of our next step.
And I'm sorry,
Joe, I just wanted to share when you talked about parents looking at alternative choices, and we very much invite parents to use different parts of our curriculum, particularly our homeschool parents. If they're registered with the county, they can come to any of our schools, and if we have space at the high school, they can take elective courses, they can participate in extracurricular activities and athletics. Also at our elementary schools, we've had homeschool parents come and participate in PE and art when we had it. In our middle school, same thing with some of our extracurricular activities. We have homeschool students that are cheerleaders. We have a variety of way that we will support those families if they're registered and they want some other kinds of enrichment activities. We're able to accommodate that. They cannot be in a charter school and be able to do that because they are charter schools are public schools and they collect ADM just like public schools do. So we don't have any way to be able to do that with the charter schools. But we certainly welcome homeschool parents that want to participate, and we have a JROTC program. So we have some homeschool families that their children participate in our JROTC. So.
And I'm certainly not trying to take the focus off the tax override here, but I think that this forum here has a lot of parents out there with children, and potentially they don't know that you offer these programs. And
We have, before you bridge to that, I was thinking we haven't talked about academics very much. It's all about, what a kid's learn. And so we have all kinds of kids and all kinds of needs. So, we have advanced placement classes. We have international baccalaureate classes. We have the only international baccalaureate high school in the county at Florence High. We have more kids in 8th grade algebra than we've ever had before. We have kids in geometry in 8th grade. And then we have alternative school for kids at high school, middle school, even 4th, 5th, and 6th grade if necessary. And then, as you mentioned, we have Florence Virtual Academy. In the Florence Virtual Academy, we haven't expelled a kid in 3 years. We have all kinds of kids that go to Florence Virtual Academy. We have kids that are pregnant that are going to Virtual Academy. We have guys that have gotten in situations where they absolutely have to work. We have kids that are looking to advance, to graduate early. And we have some very high-risk students that we've targeted. Most virtual academies don't target high-risk kids because it's tough to get them to do the stuff. But bottom line is, if you have kids that are high risk, they need to have a way back. And so that's our way back. So we have, if you've had Chris here, so you know all about the creative things he does with kids. They make their own person. They meet virtually in a classroom. And now we're providing counseling for those kids in a virtual arena as well. So, we have all kinds of kids. They have all kinds of needs, and we have to find a way to meet their needs. $2 a month allows us to do that better. Bottom line,
Yeah, I so agree with you, Gary. There's just the academic piece. We can't keep having the cuts and not cut the academics, and that's where it's really going to hurt in preparing our kids. We also, I also want to say the name of my 3 schools, because oftentimes people say, well, where are those Coolidge schools that are in Santan Valley? We have a pre-K 5 elementary school, Santan Heights Elementary School, and then we have a 6, 7, 8 middle school, Mountain Vista Middle School, and then we have a high school, Santan Foothills High School, which is just down a little ways from your studio on Gary Road, about 2 miles south of Hunt Highway. And so, we also offer AP courses for our advanced students, and we're very excited. We're getting ready to roll out a program actually next week at Santan Heights. We're going to have our first self-contained gifted program at Santan Heights. We're starting with our 3rd and 4th grade students that have been identified, and so we're really excited. We've got a gifted teacher that we've hired to come in and teach those students. So meeting the needs of all of our students, low achievers as well as our high achievers, as well as our special education population that we serve, and a variety of programs. But the cuts are going to have to come into academics if we don't have the funds to continue to provide the services that we provide. Like my colleagues, we are fortunate to have some student accomplishments, and one accomplishment we had at Santan Foothills last year was we had an engineering club as part of our engineering course win the state engineering competition, and were invited to the Smithsonian Institute. They closed down the Smithsonian Institute, if you can imagine, for one Saturday, and had all 50 states' representatives compete. And then they got to go to the White House. So we had students that were able to compete. Engineering and technology and computers all cost money, and thank goodness for some volunteers that helped us do that. They had virtual meetings with NASA, so they were able to do a lot of work in that area, but funding those kinds of programs costs money, and we want to continue to do that so that we prepare the students. One time, we often hear we don't have enough engineers in Arizona. Craig Barrett has said numerous times that Intel wouldn't have come to Arizona if he knew there wasn't a prepared workforce, and Google pulled out because they didn't have the engineers to be able to to stay and do the work they need to do. So we're working really hard in that STEM area, trying to get engineers developed. We also have this mining industry that's a solid foundation of Arizona. We need to, and they're not going to be carrying pickaxes over their shoulders and hard hats. They're going to be sitting at computers doing all that mining. So we want to make sure we're preparing our workforce with that technology.
I think what we do as public educators is that, and I'm proud of this, is the fact that we take all students. We don't exclude. We welcome them, and then we work hard to meet their needs. So whether it's with engineering programs or athletic programs or music programs or alternative programs. And I'm proud of the fact that that we take them all. We don't exclude.
Ditto, Gail. I agree.
I get into our schools a lot, and this is the, you don't hug kids anymore. You haven't done that for a long time, but you can give fist bumps. Fist bumps are cool. And so I'm an old dude. I'm 64 years old. I'm getting down towards the end of the road, and I see kids. Kids are great. Kids are always great, and the more you see them, the more you like them. The more you see them, the more you know about them. The more you are marvel at how successful they are, given the struggles that they have to put up with.
Yep.
And our parents, I can't thank our parents enough for their support. And I invite anybody to give me a call, and I'll meet you any day, pretty much any time. Give me a couple choices, and we'll walk. And then you'll see that what we're saying is the truth. Our kids deserve a little more support than they've gotten from our state, and unfortunately it's fallen onto the backs of our communities to supply the basic needs. Our kids deserve that.
I echo Gary's invitation. If anyone would like to walk the campuses, come see our programs, and I'm sure, Cecilia, you feel the same way.
Absolutely.
We love to showcase our schools and the great things that are happening in our classrooms. So
I absolutely agree, and it's a lot different than when I was in school. We have adults in classrooms all the time visiting and helping out, and our parent support is unbelievable. We really appreciate the support of our parents, and we have a lot of volunteers that are retirees that live in our community that volunteer, and we really appreciate their efforts. They do school supply drives and lots of things that help us out, and so we really appreciate that too. One of the comments I hear is, well, how do we know the schools are going to get that money? If we do the override, how the schools get that money? And I want to let you know that when you vote local and you vote for an override for your school, that money goes straight from your tax base into the county, and the county puts it right into our accounts. It is right in and out. From your taxes that you pay to the county and right back to the school district. It stays local. It's here. It's being used in the schools. When it's the state giving it, the last 1 cent, there's been some discussion about that, the last 1 cent temporary tax, sales tax. We have tried very hard in our district to try and determine how much of that money we actually got, and we're not able to identify that. But what you can guarantee as a voter and a property owner, that when you support an override, that money will go directly to your local schools. And that's a fact I wanted to share.
And specific to the ballot language. And so any of us could demonstrate and be accountable for where those dollars are and how they've supported those specific programs that are outlined.
Absolutely. That's why we have an elected governing board that oversees the finances of school districts.
So for people that want to be involved in this, and hopefully that's all of you out there, how do people give to this? How do they get involved and donate?
For the Combs School District, I would ask them to go to the Facebook page that our Political Action Committee has put together, and it's Combs Kids Count. And there's all kinds of information on there of what's happened, the walks that have taken place, the donations that are needed. School districts can't pay for the signs or the mailers, and that has to come from the Political Action Committee. But Combs Kids Counts our Facebook page, and they can get all kinds of great information there and can volunteer to help.
Absolutely. We also have a committee that's supporting us. It's called Our Kids. I'm sorry, I got to start over again. Yes, for our kids, in CUSD. Yes for our kids in CUSD. Coolidge Unified School District, that's what that stands for. And yes, it's a Facebook page. We're doing very much the same thing. I know our committees have organized neighborhood walks. There's flyers they've passed out. There's lots of information. And while those of us that are employees during our work hours can only share facts for the most part, we'll be happy to talk to anybody about the facts regarding school funding and what we're doing with that money, what we hope to do with that money, and more importantly, how it helps our kids.
Florence, we've done the same thing. Florence is yesforkids.com. Just yesforkids.com.
And some people are confused out there. Maybe some people haven't been regular voters. Some people don't have an idea even how this works, and mentioning to go to the Facebooks and all that is good. But do people physically send checks somewhere, or does it come out of their taxes, or how does that, when they do their refunds or their returns rather, how do they get the money to your operations? And can people be specific and say, I want this money to go to Florence, I want this money to go to Coolidge, and this to go to Combs?
Okay.
Each school district has their political action committee. So if someone wanted to donate, they would write their check to Combs Kids Count or whatever Gary's
Yes
for Kids. And Cecilia, one more time, what's yours?
Yes for Kids at CUSD.
There you go. And that there's a specific, and again, on our Facebook page, there's a specific address of where they can send their dollars to help support the campaign.
If they want to designate it for signs, or they want to designate it, that's their choice to do that. Getting facts out is really, really important. Talking to people, and every one of our employees are happy to talk about the needs of our students, and more importantly, our students can talk about the needs of our students.
I was sitting here thinking, I don't know how they get I don't know. I assume we have a mailing address, but I don't know what it is. for you can't mail it to the district.
Right.
It's got to be to the political.
You have a
action
P.O.
committee.
box, I can tell you that.
Yeah, we have a P.O. box, but I don't know what it is.
Yeah.
If it's a briefcase full of hundreds, they can drop them by here.
Hey, yeah. Yeah, that sounds good.
If I could just add something, because the ballots are out there and everybody's kind of looking to see where are the questions, and they're in different places on the ballots. And if you're in Maricopa County, it's different than Pinal County. But I guess I would just remind the community that even though it says budget increase and it's a vote yes or a vote no, for us, it's a continuation. It's not a new tax. I actually had a community member call me and ask that question, and I know that's so confusing, and we have to work with our attorneys on the ballot language, and we have very limited control over how we'd like to put the wording in there. But again, even though it says budget increase, it's a continuation of an existing tax.
I also want to say, where is it located on the ballot? Because those of you that have already received your early ballots, it's quite an extensive ballot. Lots of we have the national election, of course, all the way down to lots of different propositions on there. You will find school district eminent overrides at the very bottom. It's probably one of the very last items on your ballot. So when you're making your decision, please continue to go all the way down through the ballot. Sometimes we tell our voters, you might start at the bottom because we know you're going to vote at the top for the president. But if you're looking for where is that, it is on the ballot, but it's close to the very bottom.
And actually on ours, it's in the upper right-hand corner. So I think it just depends if you've got governing board elections as well and the length of that ballot.
Correct.
Joe, how much more time do we have here?
You know what? When you're done. How about that?
What's that?
Whenever you're done.
Whatever.
I mean, really.
I
think this is something that should be not a time.
Well,
constraint.
this kind of going as an aside. I've never missed election, and I've always tried to vote for the best person, and nowadays it's hard to know who the best person is. Everything's so negative, If you're a positive person, we talk about leadership all the time. One of the precepts of being a great leader is you're forever positive. And when you look at how we campaign nowadays, it's like you go to your mailbox and you open up your mailbox and you go, oh my gosh, look at this. It's amazing. Amazing in a not in a non-positive way. So I'm like, I know what I believe, and I get the ballots. I go through the ballots to go, hey, how are we going to do this? Who do I vote for? Who do I have hope that's going to turn things in a positive spin? And then we come down to, I can understand why. I understand why people get. My mom's 86 years old, and I took her to my granddaughter's gymnastics meet the other day. And she goes, I can't wait for the elections to be over so all these signs come down, and I quit getting all this nasty mail in my mailbox.
And don't forget about the pre-recorded phone calls every day.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's and so I can understand why people get negative about. You have to be forever positive to not get negative in this stuff. So when people get stuff, hey, everybody needs money, everybody needs this, I can understand the propensity to say, just forget it, just vote no on everything. I mean, I it's frustrating. This is a frustrating time. I just ask that kids have the same needs that we had when we were kids, and we have to step out, and we have to recognize that everything that we hear is not true. We have to recognize that kids are worth an investment, and I do understand how hard that is to do today, but they're special, and if we don't take care of them, they're not going to get taken care of.
You're so true, because the kids are going to get lost in this election if we don't focus on the needs of them, because there is so much on the ballot. It's quite a contentious time in politics, and we don't want our students to get lost in this. Gary, you've written about and talked about a philosophy lately that I think bears mentioning here, and that's called common sense. And I really appreciate that, because it's very thought-provoking for me to think about, okay, what is the common sense thing to do when it comes to supporting our schools, our public education, and our students? The common sense thing to do is we better be preparing for the future, because I'm like you, I'm not quite as old as you, but I'm getting there. Someday I hope to retire. Won't be for a while, but we've got to prepare the future. There's got to be people behind us carrying on, and I hope they're better than me. I've got to prepare that next school superintendent. We've got to prepare the next teachers and doctors and lawyers. And I don't know about you, but my doctors are all way younger than me now, and I want to make sure they're very prepared to take care of me in my old age. And it's the public schools. When I ask them where they went to school, they went to public schools. They spent their time in classrooms just like our kids are there today. And if we don't invest in that as old people, I'm not going to have a quality doctor. And the other one is a quality auto mechanic. Seriously, we are preparing everybody that takes care of our needs when I'm old, and I want to make sure that we're doing that adequately. And it requires money to do that, and an investment in our future.
It's pretty cliche to say that children and students are our future, but I don't know how else to say it. I mean, you talked about the specifics of that, Cecilia, but honestly, if you look at our students and what's happening and what they're learning, and how they can contribute to society in the future, they're our future. And for us, $14 a month, a continuation, not a new tax, not a tax that's forever. Maybe that's something else that people don't understand, that overrides do have an ending date. They're good for 7 years, and then if districts want to renew them, they go back out to the voters. So it's not a forever, and again, it's a continuation for us.
Yes, absolutely. That it does have that seven year end, but Gary and I have had lots of conversations about this and where we think we need to go. And Gary's always all about the kids. I love it, always about the kids. And but I know that doesn't always resonate with everybody because everybody's on a fixed income. Everybody's looking, the stock market, all their investments have gone down, and I get that. I got to work 5 years longer than I thought I was going to work because of the economy. I get that. I understand all that, but. For us, it's 27 cents a day on a $100,000 house. We're not asking for exorbitant money here to build and develop this future, and it is an investment so much, Gail, that we need to do, and it helps all of us because you're going to want all these people providing services to all of us, and they better be educated to be able to do that.
And if you contribute, I guess the way I think about it, and I know the teachers, they're not doing this job for the money, obviously. But God, it must be, as a teacher out there, you must feel really unappreciated that, I would think that you're out there and people aren't wanting to throw in a couple dollars a month out of their income to help everybody across the board in education, the kids, the programs, to be the best that they can be. I don't understand why people can't just grip that and go, yeah, let's do that. So if everyone throws in just a little bit, it's like when you throw your change out of your pocket in a bucket, at the end of the year, you're ready to go on a cruise.
Absolutely.
It amazes me that, how that works, and this is the same way. And to get the teachers, just alone, to get the teachers there and know that they're in great spirits because they're feeling appreciated. And I know that's not the whole idea behind this, but, boy, that would just, to me, seem like it would bring across a whole different feeling in all the schools.
True. That's true. That's true. And, when you get that support, the community's behind you. It changes stuff. It changes stuff for the community. And we, in America today, we need a community that's together. We really do.
God forbid our teachers start thinking that the community's not behind them and they go, you know what, this isn't worth doing it. Let's go do something else. What's going to happen? We're going to have a bunch of uneducated people running our system here.
We go find a highly qualified math teacher right now. Try to find a highly qualified math teacher in Arizona right now.
Chemistry, calculus,
science.
Wow.
So
it's already happening.
Oh, yeah.
It is.
Well, if yes.
And don't you love those bumper stickers that say, if you can read this, thank a teacher? I absolutely love that because, everybody's who they are today because of teachers. What they got to start their life out. And whether that was 12 years, 14 years, 10 years.
And that's on both ends. The people out there that aren't doing anything are probably the ones that got out of the system early, and the ones that are excelling and becoming doctors and all that have gone to school systems that people are proactive in and taking care of their people.
Our country was founded on, land of opportunity for everyone, equal opportunity, lots of our rights. Well, one of those is this public education. And some people say, well, the public education system's broken and we need to fix it. Well, you know what? I don't believe that. I don't believe it's broken. Because I ask a lot of those people, look at you, you're kind of pretty successful, and didn't you sort of go through public education, most of you? Right. So I question when people say that the public system is broken, because it's not broken. And then they say, well, we don't want to just keep throwing money at bad whatever they want to call it. But you're not, if you come in and see what's going on in our schools, and if you look at how well you were prepared and what we're doing to prepare the future. So I challenge anybody like Gary stated, and I know Gail too, about come and see what our schools are doing. You would absolutely be amazed at the accomplishments that our kids are able to do, and our teachers. And is morale down? It is down. They've been frozen, and I know people say, well, all of us haven't had raises and that sort of thing, and I get that, but our whole system, and I'll get on a soapbox here, Gary, like you do, our whole system's upside down. We should be paying our teachers way more than we pay our doctors and lawyers because they are preparing the future, but that's not the system we're in. And our teachers do it also for the love because that's what they do, but they need to put food on the table as well and contribute back to the economy. And so our teachers and our other employees, all of our bus drivers and support staff, we have a lot of minimum wage people, and I don't know how many people can afford to live on a little over $7 an hour, but we have a lot of employees on that as well that don't get raises, and they work darn hard. And I thank all my support people. We have one grounds person and one maintenance person to take care of 3 schools in Santan Valley. That's it. So sometimes they call and say, you got weeds in a fence. Administrators go out and they pull weeds because that's what has to happen. So we try to look good. But so yeah, they deserve it. Our teachers and all our employees deserve it.
Do we want to close this out with anything from each district? I do want to say one thing in close for me. To the parents and people out there listening, we have a really special program out here in this area, and I know it goes for Combs and Coolidge and Florence Unified School Districts with CAC. Think about, if you need a reason to justify throwing a couple of dollars a month into the kids, well, once they get to, is it 9th grade, they have the program where they can get free college.
Promise for the future.
If
8th grade, they make their promise in 8th grade. Promise for the future.
So they make that promise, and then they get
free tuition
for 2 years, right? Mm-hmm. One of my children are at that age, and he's in it, and what a great thing that is, and what a great thing for the area.
Yeah, you can. Yeah, that's a great thing. While you're talking about some other programs, we also have. Some people talk about, well, we need to get our kids so they have, quote, trades, or, how do we prepare kids to be EMTs or police or fire or construction. And we have a great program in Coolidge, a state school, it's called a JTED, Joint Technical Education District, and it's the CAVIT, C-A-V-I-T, CAVIT program, and their superintendent's Dr. Mike Glover, and they're doing some amazing things in CAVIT. It's a way for our students. We have students that are able to go to CAVIT their junior and senior year and earn their EMT. They're able to take some tests and become nurse practitioners, massage therapy. They have a cosmetology school. They have a variety of programs. Veterinary, they started there. So our kids are able to participate in CAVIT, but that costs money because we have to bus the kids there from Santan Valley. It takes about 40 minutes to drive down there from Santan Valley. But that's also a great program that our students that are in used to be called vocational education. It's career and technical education now, that all of us participate in. Our students. Gail does the same thing in Maricopa.
Yeah, we participate with EVIT. I'm glad you brought that up, Cecilia. I'm quite proud of the fact that we have this wonderful partnership with Banner Ironwood Medical Center, the new Banner that's there on Gansel Ironwood Road. And they're helping to support us with our medical profession program. We have a doctor's office, so to speak, built in one of our buildings of our high school, and so our students will have an opportunity to have internships and partner with the staff over at Banner, and we'll be able to earn some of those same accreditations and certifications that you were just talking about. So it's important. But
yes.
You're right, but there's a price tag that comes with that. That's part of that comprehensive program that Gary mentioned earlier.
Absolutely. We're just lucky to have CAVIT that's able to provide that for our students. Because they're very expensive to offer those kinds of programs with all the technology that's needed. So we have culinary also. I know Gary. Gary's got a fabulous culinary program at Post and Butte, and we have one down in Coolidge High School.
So I'll close, Joe. I'll close by saying that we do our very best every day. We're not perfect. And when we're wrong, we admit that and we fix it. We do what we have promised that we have done. Everything that we promised in the capital override, we've delivered. We're good stewards of our community's dollars, our tax dollars. Our kids are doing well academically. Our kids need this override. Our communities need the override. And $2 is not too much. And I thank you for the opportunity to be here today, and I thank our community for supporting us.
Dr.
Gail?
Johnson?
Oh, well, boy, you're a hard act to follow sometimes, Gary. I hate that. I hate that. You've been in this business a little bit longer than me.
A lot.
I'm gonna very much support everything that Dr. Nine said about Florence. We True and Coolidge Unified. Thanks so much for the community support we get. It's an amazing place, Santan Valley, 80,000 plus strong. You would never know it's out here sometimes, but we need to continue to make our mark in Santan Valley, whether we're incorporated or not incorporated. We need to continue to make our mark, and the way to do that is to continue supporting our education, our public education at Coolidge Unified, supporting us with 27 cents a day, not asking exorbitant amount of money to do that, and we just hope that you'll consider the future of Santan Valley, because we want it to continue to grow and thrive, and we want people to live here and be happy here, and feel confident in their schools, and believe that they're fiscally responsible. And I believe all of us have shared that. We've got open books for people to look at that. That's all public record. So, and be happy to talk to anybody that wants to talk more about it, and appreciate the support. Thanks so much, Joe.
Dr. Gail Blanchard Combs.
Thank you. We need our community support. And I challenge our community, if you don't know what's happening in the schools, come out and join us. We have a football game Friday night, home game. We have a drama musical production Saturday night at 7 o'clock. Both of those events, of course, are at our high school, so we invite our community to come join us. Come see what our young people are doing and the great things that are happening. I'll say it again, I'm proud to be a public educator, and I'm proud of the fact that we take all students and we do not exclude. But we need our community support and help. It needs to be a collective responsibility. And I would ask that if anybody has additional questions, call me, 480-987-5300. I'll talk you through the details. I'll talk you through the budget. I'll talk you through the tax rate, whatever information you need, so that you feel comfortable and confident and can support us and support our students in Combs. Thanks, Joe, for the opportunity. It's been great.
Well, I want to thank those of you that have taken the time out of your day to listen to our three school superintendents we've had in studio today. Dr. Gail Blanchard, Combs Unified School District, Dr. Cecilia Johnson, Coolidge Unified School District, and Dr. Gary Nine from Florence Unified School District. And those of you that have come in late or know somebody who was not able to watch or listen to the show, you can go to our YouTube channel, and I'll have that up at the end of the day today. That would be youtube.com/KQCK live, and you can go ahead and replay this and watch and actually see the superintendents. This is a really momentous occasion, having all three of you here at one time.
We love working with each other.
We do.
Thanks for having us.
We're very collegial.
And I encourage all of you, whenever you have something to get out there to the public, please just give us a call and come on in. We love having you in studio here.
Great studio, man.
Yeah, it's wonderful. Thank you.
Thank you so much for coming in. And you guys just stay tuned. We're going to throw some great music your way. And again, thanks for listening. You listen to KQCK radio station. And please pay attention to our sponsors here.
Are you ready to start taking control of your future and maximize your earning potential? Central Arizona College has smaller class sizes and personalized attention to help you compete in today's tough job market. CAC now serves Santan Valley and Queen Creek. The CAC Santan Center is located in the shops